How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to some more Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights. In today's video, we're going to make our way through the Haunted Hedge Maze, which conveniently says that right there for some reason. I'm not really sure why that is. But anyways, this is an exciting area in which we get to see lots of hedge maze action. Now I don't know if a place like this actually would exist, minus the floating platforms and monsters and all the shady stuff that's happening here, but one never knows. But this does seem like a very big park. I forgot we can stun them just by running into them, which can be helpful. That's already the first area out of the way of the hedge maze. I think this is my least favorite for the early areas. I'd much prefer the fishing village, and I prefer the mansion over this. But for the most part, it's fairly straightforward here, which is fortunate. I know back in the day, back in the day I struggled a lot with a lot of stuff in this game, but once you reach a certain age, everything just gets a lot easier. So here are our latest invention, which are the lampshade slippers, which will allow us to sneak past monsters that are asleep or hidden. However, if a monster can see you, then you gotta do this, and they for some reason can't see you, which I won't question because it's Scooby-Doo and it just works. Oops. There's many things in Scooby-Doo that probably shouldn't be questioned. However, we might as well question them anyways. I don't think we can get up there from the pile of dirt though, so we will need to come back to that later on. So, we're going to continue on through here. No one knows younger. I always thought this was Shaggy. Kind of looks like him. Makes you wonder what kind of modeling did Shaggy all get into. And we can't do anything there yet, but later. And here we have the Scarecrow who just likes to hug Scooby occasionally. This area can be a little tricky. Just gotta time your jumps and not void out. can't see the playground. So either we're just in a position where we can't see it, or B, maybe the playground was designed at a later point in the game. I'm not really sure. Whoa. But whoever is taking care of this little park area is definitely doing a very poor job. And for whatever the reason, there's a bunch of gargoyle thingamajigs here. Not entirely sure what that's all about, but perhaps it's a decorating scheme here in the good old early 2000s. And here we have reached the exit. So now we have to pay for the snack aid. And we can go through the mean greenhouse. Which is also not very well preserved. I don't know what exactly the owner of all this land is up to. And for whatever the reason, this place just kind of all looks dumpy, and it's a branch that broke through the glass there, so presumably nobody is really taking care of this place in a hot minute. And I would even guess that Scooby is probably the first person to go through this park in like hundreds of years. Okay, maybe hundreds of years old. Never had him follow me that far before. Guess he was a little too curious about Scooby. I'm about to perish, which kind of want to avoid. Okay, that doesn't look comfortable. But fortunately, if you die, you just restart the start of the level, so it's not horrible. I wasn't sure I could actually do that, but that is good to know. I might be able to sneak past the zombie. Just barely. So far we're doing good with collecting majority of the snacks. There we go. Got some health back. Stun that sucker. Darn it. Another snack gate. Gotta say, this game has a really amazing soundtrack, by the way. As in, it is pretty faithful to the original shows. Like, it's got some pieces from Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? It's got some pieces from the new Scooby-Doo movies. It's really covering all the bases, and this part is kind of a pain in the butt, but I'm gonna see if I can make it with my limited health. Whoa. Yeah, I like that notification's there, even though we don't even get the soap invention until way late These tree branches are the bane of my existence. But fortunately, we made it through that level. Get away from me, zombie. Alright, we're back at full health. So, I'm not really sure if it was the professors that did all this damage, like all his experiments or something, or if this is just really, really horrible land, or if it's actually haunted. I would guess maybe it's haunted because these